How heavy is the IEM Katowice trophy? I'm not talking the physical weight because StarCraft trophies are indeed hefty. I'm referring to the countless hours of dedication and practice required to lift this pinnacle of achievement in StarCraft 2. Only 10 players have ever had the honor of lifting it until now.
I just want to tell us, like, I think I'm just a normal man, and
Introducing player number 11, Olive Era, or at time as he's once known. He became the 2023 IEM Katowice World Champion by defeating Umaru, who he only had a 6% chance of beating. Now, to achieve this, he had to overcome several heavy hitters. Hero Marine, Rainer, Hero, all exceptional players. So what sets him apart? And how does a normal person prepare for the biggest tournament of their career? Welcome to Inside the Scene, the show where we explore what it takes for you to become a pro player in StarCraft 2, uncovering the aspects to get to the top that you won't learn from just playing the game. I'm going to be honest with you. I have never won a premier StarCraft 2 tournament. I know, you're shocked, but I have definitely dreamt of it. I feel like anyone who has played competitively has at least imagined holding the trophy. The same goes for Olive Era. Olive Era constantly dominates. With a supportive family and within his region, he is a star. But once he gets into the global scene, the results are mixed, where the round of 32 to 16 is the norm. To up his results, he moves to a team house in Korea to expose himself to a higher level of play. Makes sense. On top of getting better though, he needs to deal with his nervousness while being on a big stage. For a time, there are trending improvements until DreamHack 2022. 0-6. That was his record, and he didn't even win one map. To him, this was devastating, and he considers not going to IEM and just quitting. But with 3 months between Atlanta and Katowice, there is a chance to turn the odds around. To find out the factors that go into preparing for a large tournament, come, let's go to IEM.
All right, so what's your name?
Daniel.
Abby.
I'm Lorenzo.
How do they prepare for a match like Katowice?
The player you going up against, so they prepare for the player.
They know months in advance.
Yeah, they know months in advance. They prepare for the matchup, the player, and that's how they prepare. And then I think like 10 minutes before, they just cool off, speak with the colleagues.
The other players they know, they're going to ask them like advice. And
advices to cool down, something like that, yeah.
Honestly, I feel like they just trap themselves in a closet. In a closet for like weeks, and they're like, please only let me come out to eat and drink water. No showers. They sit there and they just
like
train.
Hardcore train?
Yeah.
I think they train a lot, but I think it really depends on not only the time but the tactics they choose, because some of the players really prepare for a specific engage. For example, I think it was Dark or Oliveira was preparing some specific tactic in some opponents.
How do you think they prepare mentally?
Mindfulness, something like that, I think, yeah, I know, I speak to the players, I know that's a trend that is going on, therapy a lot, we have a progression towards that, yeah.
I feel like they have to really get into this weird spot. They only focus on StarCraft, nothing else.
I think probably you need some meditation or something, because here the mentality is everything. We saw it with Rainer. Mindset was everything after the second match.
Okay, so to be ready, you need in-game and mental preparation. But unlike an open tournament, a tournament like IEM Katowice, players know well in advance who they're going to play. So to understand the difference in preparation, I turned to Wardy, a premier caster who casted games that day.
I think you definitely want to look at VODs, right? You want to be looking at who you're playing, what do they like to do, have a general idea. You know, for a weekend event, you can say, hey, this is kind of my build per map in each of these matchups, maybe a couple of alternatives. But when you're going into a group, when you know the guys, you need to know what they're going to do, your best chances, bring the best builds against them. So I think looking at VODs, research, replays, which are super available nowadays as well. And that's one of the negatives, obviously, playing in things. Your info gets out there, but, you know, I think it is just a case of, you know, you've got to look at who you're playing and think about, hey, how do they usually play? How do they approach tournaments? Do they like to kind of step it up? One of my favorite examples, for example, was Spirit versus Zaun. When I talked to him, he said, hey, you know, after Zaun, like, cheeses me and he doesn't work, he'll never cheese again, so I can play more greedy after, right?
Oh, very like mind games.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of the mind, like, how do you think players will prepare mentally or physically for an event like Katowice?
I think a lot of the players are very like, gym fanatics to some extent. Yeah. So they really do, like, I think a lot of people have a very good balance of going outside, getting some exercise, a lot more like VOD review, and it's just a lot healthier, right? So you can go in a lot fresher every day and just keep that kind of like the time that you're playing at like an absolute peak.
And so do you imagine for a player, does this Katowice's preparation differ from, say, any other major?
I think it depends on the player, right? Because some people really do just freestyle it, Some people like go away, like Reynolds goes away, he cooks up some new stuff. He's like, oh, this is my response to this and that, for like a specific event. For Katowice, absolutely, right? He buckles down and he absolutely decides to do that. Some players obviously a bit more freestyle. Some players really probably do say like, hey, look, like this is my group. I need to be really good in this matchup. Let's kind of focus there.
Yeah, okay. And so when you're thinking about players going onto this stage, how much do nerves affect that play performance, especially Katowice?
Yeah, I think it's a whole new experience, right? And a lot of these guys don't have experience on a stage, never mind the Katowice stage, right? The World Championships. And, matches like, Create a Dark throughout this event, I think was a big one that came down to just experience on the biggest stage. Yeah. Because Creator, I think, played a better series, but he just let the nerves get to him. He made some mistakes that I think we've seen Creator not do this year. Yeah. So a big way, honestly. And, a big part of it is trying to figure out how do you improve from that? How do you go on stage and just play your best? I love what Time said earlier today. He was like, hey man, like, after the first 2 games I said, look, I just need to calm down. I love StarCraft. Let's just go have a good time and enjoy it. So everyone has different approaches, but it's definitely a factor.
Each player will find a method that will work for them. So when I talked to Zerg pros Cyril and Dark, I asked them to see what do they do.
All right, I'm here with Cyril. Cyril, I want to know from you, what does a player need to do to prepare for IEM versus like any other EPT Cup or any other tournament?
Well, I don't think for EPT Cups there's any specific preparation, but in general the preparation practice is always around the same. It's just playing games. The main difference here is that you know your opponents a couple of weeks before, so you have time to study them and do some sniping builds. I feel like this event I got sniped more than I sniped other people. You get more time, so you get more knowledge.
Outside of the game, what do you do to prepare for an event like IEM? Mentally, physically, anything like that?
Not really. There's not much. In general, I think big tournaments are all about just not being able to not think about too much, being in front of the stage and just keeping your health calm. But I don't think you can do much to get used to that. It's more about just experience that helps you. After a game finishes, you just need to zero your head. Maybe until the end of the game, but I'm normally pretty good at just zeroing everything and going to the next game. And that's what you have to do. You can't think about the lose too much.
How much time do you practice before you decide you're going to cut it off and just enjoy yourself?
Before event, it's all practice. I don't take a 1 week break. I don't take a day break. Before events, it's just all on practice. But like I said, during an event, I will just practice until I get my hands to a state that I'm comfortable. Like basically, it's just that sometimes you have a little bit of cold hands, so you just warm them up a little bit or something.
What thing do you do to prepare that other players would think is unusual?
There is nothing I do particularly different for IEM Katowice. It's just a big event, and I prepare for it just as hard as I would for any other event. I feel like many players have a specific or different way to approach this event, but for me, it's just the same.
How does preparing for Katowice differ from preparing for any other major event? Is that just playing the game a lot, or do you do anything mental or physical to prepare?
Even in my everyday life, I go to the gym pretty consistent, so I wouldn't say I prioritize practicing over going to the gym. I do my regular physical exercise, and I just practice more, keeping the tournament in mind.
How do you think preparation between foreigners and Koreans differ for an event like Katowice?
It used to be a lot different, because we were divided between Korean players and foreigners. But nowadays, we've mixed a lot more during scrims, practice, and tournaments. I feel like our practice methods have become very similar.
To some players, a routine doesn't change much. They'll play with the tournament in mind, they'll practice hard, but nothing too crazy. But what if winning felt like it would take a miracle? I caught up with Alvaera right after his match. He just barely got out of group stage by 1 point, and he had now taken out Hero Marine in a match that he wasn't even favored to win. At the time, I figured that, he just got out of his group, he'd gotten this far, there has to be something to the way that he prepared.
Okay, and so do you have specific practice partners for you that you practice because you know ahead of time what players you're about to play?
For Terran players, I mainly practice with Umaru, Beyond, Gumiho, and Bunny. When it comes to TVZ, I mainly play against Cyril and Lambo. As for the Protoss players, I practice with Max Packs and Classic.
Is there a routine that you do before every tournament that maybe other players would think is a little bit strange?
Nothing really strange. I'm really dedicated to this philosophy that if you don't practice more than the other person, you're going to lose to them.
How long do you practice up until an event?
My experience in Atlanta made me feel like I failed, and I didn't want to repeat that again. So I decided not to take any breaks. I practiced for 8 to 10 hours a day, every day without a break. From the moment I got back from Atlanta until Katowice, I didn't even skip one day leading up to this event.
No breaks, no breaks? From Atlanta to this event?
Yes, from Atlanta up until this event, no breaks.
How much sleep do you get in between those?
I usually get around 6 or 7 hours of sleep.
See, what I didn't know at the time was that his preparation would lead him to beat Rainer, Hero, and then the legend himself, Umaru.
I just want to tell us, like, you don't need ESL champion, you don't need like ESL champion. I just practice very hard this time. Like every day 12 hours, 15 hours, so much time. And you know, like I play StarCraft 2 Pro Gamer is already 8 years, right? I think so. And I never thought I can be a world champion. And even now, I'm afraid maybe tomorrow I wake up, it's like a dream,
And when looking back on his matches, he would go on to say,
Let me tell you, do you know what the record of practice is with me and Cyril? I've played this situation so many times into exhaustion. It's just like this one with Rainer. The 3 queens defend against me perfectly every time. I was knocked into exhaustion. I practiced with Cyril for 3 days and I was beaten 0-20 by him. I can't even win one game. Just before I went to IEM though, I thought I was fucked. I was really beaten to frustration. I tell you, I was literally on the verge of a breakdown. Let me tell you about days. My daily life was eating and exercising and then coming back to training. But though I was training every day, I was losing every day. I'm not joking. Every day for a fucking month. Every day, basically, I lost more and won less. Then I'd lie down at the end of the day and think about giving up while doom scrolling on social media. I would think to myself, it's okay, you've worked hard. But then I thought, I have to keep going, even if it means I lose. I don't want it to be an 06 like Atlanta again. With all that despair, you have to keep on fighting, even if you're exhausted. And that's what drove me. That was my drive. It's that mentality where your brain will let you continue if you just tell it to continue.
okay, so you might not be going to be up for IM right now, but if you're going to your next tournament, preparation through VOD research, practice partners, and dedicated hours can put you in the position to lift that trophy. And as Olive Era said,
even you still are normal people, you still can be world champion and no one trusts you.
now it's your turn. Good luck and have fun out there.